The landscape of classic survival horror is thriving in the modern era, and we are seeing an abundance of new titles start to pop up from out of nowhere, with many of them taking on the traits and attributes from classic horror titles of the PS1 era and even beyond, that utilise a similar visual style, with the majority of them using fixed camera angles and tank controls, with limited resources and inventory systems that can evoke a sense of nostalgia, bringing back all of those memories from games that we grew up with. One of the games in question we're looking at here falls under the name of Carnival Massacre, that has all of those gameplay styles reminiscent of the PS1 era, that incorporates all of the classic survival horror gameplay that we know and love, that is set around an atmospheric theme park filled with engaging puzzles, with full voice acting and cutscenes, and even inventory and storage management systems that would be seen in classic games, with the plot revolving around a young teenage girl on the hunt for her kidnapped sister, who is located somewhere within the carnival itself, only to quickly find out that it is flooded with all sorts of weird creatures, people and unruly monsters. And in the typical style, you'll quickly find yourself having to gather resources, items, weapons, health packs, anything that you can use at your disposal in order to survive and to progress in order to find your sister.
Little girl?
Now the game is still currently in development, and this here version of it is a demo, which you can find versions of it over on Steam and itch.io. There'll be links in the description. It is very dark, very atmospheric. The graphics are really good, very reflective of the PlayStation 1 era, very highly detailed as well, mind you. But because it's still in development, even I will say from my time playing it, the controls, while they do work, will take a bit of getting used to, and they are a little bit on the clunky side, a bit more than most games of this style, so there is a bit more refinement I think that would be needed to make it more playable and more approachable. But hopefully with future updates and even in full release that'll be fixed up. But also I noticed a few glitches upon some of my playthroughs where the game would crash, or you'd just get locked in a room, or you'd get hit with an enemy and then the character would just freeze and nothing would happen. Now again, because the game is still in development, these things are going to happen. You're always going to come across bugs and glitches every so often, which will force you to have to play the game again from the start. But the truth is if you're a fan of these type of games, you won't find that to be a problem. It kind of brings me back to the days when I used to play Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation, and we didn't have a memory card because we used to rent the console out at the weekends, and we would play through until the point where we got killed, mainly always with a hunter, usually swiping your head off, or you would die in the underground sequence where you ended up fighting the big massive spider boss, only to realise that you were using the wrong weapon the whole time, to quickly discover that 3 or 4 shots with the Magnum revolver was enough to put it out of commission once and for all. And you'd find you'd end up losing at least 1 to 2 hours worth of work or progression, only to end up wanting to start again, which inevitably you did because you were that determined to finish it and just get further. And that's the thing even with these newer games that are popping up today, is that they do reflect those elements. Now they won't be for everybody, granted. Whether you have the patience to play them, that's a whole different story all on its own. But if you're a fan of these games, yeah, I do think that this one is definitely worth a look. Bugs and glitches and all, if you can overcome that, you'll definitely have a good experience with this. Yes, there are refinements I do think that need to be made, but for what it does offer, I think that this is going to be one to look out for sure. The fact that it uses fixed cameras, tank controls and all of the systems that'll be familiar with classic survival horror games, you'll definitely have a blast with this one, so it's highly recommended. Again, there'll be links to the demo down in the description. With that being said though, there are a ton of more games like this that are starting to crop up in modern times that are obviously worth having a look also, which you can check out here in this next video, so you might want to check it out.